corner of Church Avenue and Coney Island Avenue there. And I spent a lot of years working for him, summers at first, and then full-time, and then more full-time after that. So the poems in this book are all about my family and that relationship that developed between us over the years of me working with them. The first poem in the book is called The Car Wash. At the car wash, at dawn, the darkness of the plant was permissive. Sometimes it had a pilot flickering in the hull of a heater, or the canvas towel bin glowed in the pallid gray of the skyline. Every morning for 5 years. 1,800 mornings. We might hear an air leak or water drip while walking back with our coffee cups gimbaled between index and thumb, things we'd need to fix before we open. And then, at the electric panel, the knife switch took a palm to throw. The sequence of circuit breakers, compressors, and fluorescents coming on satisfied the order etched where habit met identity. Alan went to hang his Army field coat, and I walked the wash tunnel, collecting license plates and other parts from yesterday, charmed by the rust that bloomed overnight on the polished steel plate flooring and washed away each morning. Alan came to grease the bearings. The white grease pushed the greasy water out, and raising the garage doors to put out the signs, I saw the lights progress. The men arriving, checked the trash cans, got money for the register, hung the card of pine trees in the cashier booth, the tape loop playing in the empty customer walkway, selling hot wax to no one. And then we opened, and the cars came, and the people nodded to us and stood with crossed arms, watching the steam guns, the vacuum wands, the mats flung sideways to the mat rack for a rinse. And even as we watched, our lives peeled back and shed one layer, exposing the new day's delicate skin. The next poem is called Thank you. The next poem is called Checkout Man. It's about a guy I worked with all those years named Freddie Rogers. Checkout Man. Between cars, Freddie Rogers could spin a damp towel on his finger as if it was a terry cloth pizza. Take a quick drag off his Winston, go, yeah, to anything I'd say to him, turn his hat brim front to back or back to front, excuse himself, and start out towards the bus stop for the B68, where a girl he knew or wished to know was waiting for the bus to Coney Island, and then give up as she went inside, restore his Winston to the ledge, and flip his spinning towel ahead to land on the hood of the next car out. We're going to skip ahead because I don't have time to read the whole book. I'll read a poem about my mom. It's called New Year's Eve. After my brother and I had been washed and put to bed, my mother, dressed, perfumed, jeweled, and high-heeled, would come into our room to wish us a happy new year. My mom believed in New Year's Eve. You could see it in the way she stood there, backlit by the hall light. She believed in beaded dresses, dangly earrings, a sleeve of bracelets, blue eyeshadow, and Shalimar perfume, going out on a cold night in a warm car with crusty snow pushed back in a fan shape from the windshield, headlights making prisms of the streetlights, arriving by car, stockinged leg by leg emerging on her heels, and the teetered reach for a husband's hand. She believed in being seen by the other women arriving, and going into a decorated room, even if you yourself that very afternoon in jeans and dirty sneakers had done the decorating. She believed in drinks, the naughtiness of drinks, and saying, oh no, I shouldn't, and okay, why not? She believed that it mattered how many times you were asked a thing before you gave in, and she took joy from giving in. She believed in laughing until she cried. Laughing tears were evidence. A stitch in your side was proof, and not caring if your stockings tore was the closing argument of a good time. She believed in dancing with your husband, or if he wouldn't dance, then dancing with your husband's friend, or your friend's husband. She believed in dancing the rumba, waltz, or foxtrot. She believed in looking up at the band when the rhythm changed, as though the band were the ones making suggestions. You guys was an actual color of light in her eyes. She had a memory for partners, dance to dance and year to year, who had a firm hand on her low back, or a confident release, or hair she liked to look at in the lights. She believed in sitting down beside you at your table after dancing and saying, oh my God, I'm not as young as I used to be. She believed that something happened at midnight. She believed something could happen at midnight. She believed that something was going to happen at midnight. And standing in the doorway of our room, she wanted my brother and me to know that she loved us, that she wished us a very happy New Year, even though she couldn't be with us when the New Year came, even though we couldn't be awake when the New Year came, even though we couldn't see that thing that happened when the New Year came, except as a color of light in her eyes.
Beautiful.
Thank you all. I think there's time. Yeah, there's time for this. This is the last poem in the book. It's called The Jetty. Spent a lot of my life in South Brooklyn, Midwood Shore, but Sheepshead Bay before that, and I lived in Brighton Beach for quite a while. And this poem takes me back to all of those things. The Jetty. I stood on the slanted, wet black stones piled from Brighton Beach into Rockaway Inlet, with a coffee and a cigarette metallic in the cold salt air. Behind me, the 6-story shtetl of bricks and heavy Jewish food backed up to the elevated subway, spine of the old neighborhood, escape route bending north over Mrs. Stahl's Knishes towards Manhattan. Before me, Grandma Eva's ocean threw up lattices of spume from the blistered sea. I cuffed the drips-in-winter nose I inherited from my father and squinted toward the wind from Breezy Point, past which I'd sailed as far as Ambrose Lightship once to see the ocean open past explaining. I swabbed locker rooms at 17 and mowed the lawn around the white and red impatiens planted in the shape of the burgee of the yacht club where I tendered members to their sailboats at moorings in Sheepshead Bay. Evenings, when they'd all gone home on my last run among the tethered boats that always swung to face the tide, I smoked and listened to My Love on a cream-colored transistor radio with a gold-toned grill and the name Electra etched in red script beside the thumb wheel for the volume. I watched the lightning boats from their I winched the lightning boats from their trailers on race days and swung them on a davit over the cyclone fence, down to the bay, then followed in the committee boat past Kingsborough College and the seaside nursing home called Menorah, where 40 years later my father would die, dropped anchor in the inlet, and fired blanks from a cannon to start the race that sent this regatta of school teachers, doctors, tradesmen, and a woman named Wendy with short dark hair around a course of red and black channel markers, buoys and bells, white hulls like whale bellies turned upwards on a broad reach, or raising painted spinnakers like pregnant women in summer dresses, though none of this could reach me, where I bobbed unhappily at 17 and waited for the race to end. And then, at 33, after years of working with a damp towel over my shoulder and my arms crossed on my chest as the exit manager of the Hollywood Car Wash on Coney Island Avenue, speaking college French with the Haitians who dried the cars, and leaving there for law school while living still in Brighton Beach, I stood on these same rocks, reciting mnemonic devices to prepare for the bar exam the summer I also came the closest to dunking a basketball in the playground at Brightwater Court. And 30 years later, with hips as brittle as butter chip cookies, I climbed these rocks again to stare at the sea and back at the beach and the boardwalk and the men's room under the boardwalk where a boy once showed me his penis. I cut my feet on a broken bottle here when I ran with my sister to catch the orange drink man. I came for Tuesday fireworks and found my grandparents laughing with neighbors in woven web beach chairs when they were my age now. I brought girls home in my red Monte Carlo. I bought sturgeon from the fish store and cooked it in garlic and butter. I lived across from the synagogue where you could hear the men through the open windows murmuring on Yom Kippur while women outside wondered how long after sunset the rabbi would keep them. I will never leave this place. Thank you all. Come out to New Jersey and see the Red Wheelbarrow Poets. I have copies of my book for sale, $5, and I'll autograph it for you. Have a great afternoon and enjoy the poetry.